Hi, subscribe to the channel, new stories every day. Let's get started. Part 1. The Coffee Shop Confession. There's something oddly poetic about hearing the love of your life laughing about how she's going to destroy you. I had gone to Local Beans, the little coffee shop Patricia and I both loved, for a quiet morning. I'd been meaning to get some work done and clear my head. Work was piling up, life was moving fast, and with Patricia dropping hints about engagement lately, I figured I'd better plan something special. 3 years together, she deserved that much, right? At least I thought she did. I took a seat in the back corner booth, earbuds in, but I wasn't playing anything. Just white noise like a quiet defense against distractions. I was running through some work on my laptop when I heard laughter. Familiar laughter. It was her, Patricia. I froze for a second, not because I was surprised to hear her, but because something in her tone, sharp, smug, almost gleeful, felt off. She didn't see me. The booth walls were tall, and I was tucked in just far enough that unless she came around the corner she wouldn't notice. Still, I almost stood up. I almost called out to her and her two friends, Gladys and Mary, who were following behind. But then I heard my name, and I didn't move, not because I was eavesdropping, well, okay I was, but because instinct told me to listen. Gladys asked her, "So you're really going through with it?" Patricia laughed in a way I had never heard before. Cold, cutting, cruel. "Of course," she said, loud enough to be overheard. "Brent's so predictable. He's been Googling engagement rings." I checked his browser history. The guy's practically putting a bow on his own humiliation. My stomach twisted. They were talking about me. Mary sounded uncertain. 3 years, though, that's a long time to fake it, Patricia snorted. "Please. The apartment's in his name. I barely pay anything. Jason's place is twice as nice. You should see his car, leather seats, custom interior, the whole deal." Jason, her co-worker. The one who'd started showing up on her Instagram stories a little too often. My fingers tightened around my coffee cup. I didn't move, I didn't speak. I sat perfectly still and hit record on my phone, just sliding it onto the table like it was part of my hand. "What if Brent doesn't propose?" Gladys asked. "Like, what if you misread the timing?" "Oh, he will," Patricia said smugly. "He's wrapped around my finger. I've been sending him pictures of that princess-cut ring from Somerset Jewelers all week. I told him I dreamt about it last night. He'll take the hint." Then her voice dropped low, but I could still hear every poisonous word. "When he does it, probably at Giovan's or something cheesy like that. I'm going to let him get on one knee, do the whole speech, and right as he's about to open the box, I'll start laughing. I'll say, 'Are you serious?' in front of everyone. Then I'll walk out. Jason already booked our trip to Cabo for the next day. I'll be on a beach while Brent's wiping his tears off the floor." They giggled. Glasses clinked. "I can't believe you're actually doing it," Mary whispered, both impressed and horrified. "Of course I am," Patricia said. "Brent's sweet, but he's so basic. He still wears a Timex watch. In 2025, I mean seriously." I didn't even realize I had stopped breathing. Every word hit like a jab to the chest, but I kept my face blank, my breathing steady. My brain was screaming, but my body was calm, focused. They talked more about Jason, how they'd been sneaking around, how she'd been slowly moving money out of our shared account, how I was useful until she could trade up. She had no idea I was there, no idea that I had recorded every second. I waited until they left, watched her get into her car, still laughing, still radiant in that fake way I'd once found so charming. She was beautiful. She always had been, but now I could see it clearly. She was never mine, not really, not the way I thought she was. I drove home in silence, hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel, my mind moving faster than the car. 3 years, 3 years of birthdays, movie nights, vacations, hard days, and soft mornings. All of it. Fake, or at least not what I thought it was. She came home that evening like nothing had happened, kissed me on the cheek, told me her day with the girls was amazing. "I was thinking," she said, throwing her bag on the couch, "for our anniversary next week, maybe we could do Giovan's? You know, that cute place with the string lights." "Great idea, babe," I said, smiling just wide enough to keep the lie going. "I was actually thinking we should do something really special this year." Her eyes lit up. She had no idea, but I did. Part 2. Collecting pieces, playing the fool after hearing Patricia lay out her plan to embarrass me in public like I was the villain in a soap opera. I didn't cry. I didn't scream or throw anything. I planned. Rage is useless when it isn't focused. Cold precision, that's what I needed. And I was going to use her confidence against her. The next day, while Patricia was at yoga, which by now I assumed meant Jason, I started organizing. First, I made backups of everything. That audio from the cafe, uploaded it to a cloud drive, a backup phone, an encrypted USB, and even emailed it to myself from a burner email. I wasn't going to lose it to a phone crash or an accidental deletion. Then I called Jacob. Jacob's been my best friend since freshman year of college, and fortunately, he worked at the same company as Patricia and Jason. Different department, but close enough to know people. I didn't give him the full story yet, just said I had concerns and needed to know if the rumors I'd heard about Jason were true. Jacob didn't ask questions, he just told me the truth. Jason was in the middle of a divorce. Apparently, not only had Patricia fallen for a man who was cheating on his wife with her, but she also had no idea that Jason had no intention of leaving said wife. According to Jacob, Jason had been spinning a tale of, "We're already separated, and I just need to finalize some paperwork," for over a year. That part wasn't even the shocking bit. What got me was that Jason was Patricia's supervisor. Yep, company policy said relationships with subordinates were against HR rules, and Jason was leading her department. If that ever came to light, both of them would be out of jobs faster than you can say corporate scandal. Noted. Meanwhile, Patricia was leaning into her own fantasy. She started acting sweeter, more affectionate, leaving sticky notes with little hearts and "can't wait for our anniversary" on the fridge, sending me Instagram reels of proposal ideas. She even started commenting more on our shared future. "I was thinking we could do navy blue and silver for the wedding colors," she said casually while folding laundry. "Yeah," I replied with a smile. "What made you think of that?" "Oh, I saw a wedding reel, and it just seemed elegant." "You know, elegant. Right." I made a mental note to not barf. I played along, even bought her flowers on a Tuesday just to keep the image alive. She beamed like a little girl handed a surprise gift from Santa. "Brent," she said, hugging me, "you're just everything." "No, Patricia, I was your plan, your prop, your doormat on which you were going to wipe your feet before boarding Jason's flight to Cabo. But not anymore." Step 2 was social media. I made a burner Instagram account and followed Patricia's friends. Gladys and Mary were the worst spies imaginable. Within days I had a treasure trove of photos, pictures of Patricia at bars, giggling with Jason in the background, a selfie in front of Jason's building captioned "working late," even a shot of them on a rooftop, arms around each other, with a blurry view of the city behind them, Jason's arm firmly around her waist. Oh, and my hoodie. She was wearing my hoodie in half those pictures. The one I got her for Christmas last year. If my blood could boil any harder, I'd have turned into steam. I screen recorded everything, the cherry on top. A Thursday night work dinner. I had a hunch, so I dropped by a Thai place not far from her office. Sure enough, there they were, giggling like teenagers over pad thai and mango sticky rice. She even wiped sauce off Jason's chin. I sat at the bar, ordered a beer, and filmed just enough. They didn't notice me, of course not. I was invisible to them. Just Brent the fool, but Brent was done being the fool. 2 days later, I ran into Gladys at the grocery store. She was pushing a cart full of overpriced kombucha when she looked up and saw me. The look on her face, pure terror, like she'd just been caught keying a cop car. "Hey Gladys," I said casually, as if I hadn't heard her voice in that cafe, encouraging Patricia to go through with the plan. "How was your coffee meetup last week?" She froze. What, with Patricia and Mary?" I added. "At Local Beans. I heard the iced lavender oat milk latte is really good." She mumbled something and tried to walk away, but I blocked her cart gently and smiled. "Oh, and how's Jason? I hear he and Patricia have quite the thing going." She looked like she might drop dead right there in the freezer aisle. Before she could bolt, I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo, just a generic stock image of a princess cut ring from Somerset Jewelers. "Thinking of proposing next week," I said with a wink. Her jaw dropped. I walked away before she could respond. 5 minutes later, Patricia called me. "Hey babe," she said too brightly. "Thinking about dinner next week. Maybe Giovan's?" I wanted to laugh. "Oh, you read my mind," I said. "That's actually perfect. Let's make it special. I'll invite Gladys and Mary after," she said. "We could celebrate." "Please do, Patricia," I insist. Part 3, the setup over the next few days. Everything moved like clockwork. I kept playing the part of the doting boyfriend. More flowers, more "I love you" texts, more quiet smiles as Patricia leaned deeper into her fantasy of our perfect anniversary night. Meanwhile, I was disappearing from our apartment one drawer at a time. A t-shirt here, my passport there, spare phone charger, favorite hoodie, tool set, all boxed and slowly moved into a studio I'd rented across town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. A place she didn't know about, a place that didn't include her. She didn't notice. She was too busy plotting a public execution, her personal rom-com turned Greek tragedy. Only she didn't realize she was the one in the tragic role. The final phase was locking in the big night. I made a reservation at Bella Rosa, not 5-star but upscale enough to feel special. White linen, candlelight, and a little string quartet on Fridays. Patricia had mentioned it once or twice. I made sure she believed it was her idea. She was practically giddy when I told her. "Oh my God, Brent," she squealed, "that place is amazing. I can't believe you remembered." I smiled. "Only the best for you." She didn't know I'd also reserved the table near the fireplace. Quiet, intimate, and just loud enough for neighboring tables to hear. Jacob would be sitting at the bar. He offered to be a witness, said he wouldn't miss this for anything. I double-checked everything, the printouts, screenshots of her messages with Jason, Gladys, Mary, photos of her with Jason, notes about the money she transferred from our account, even a few audio clips from the cafe, all tucked neatly into a decorative ring box. No diamond, just brutal truth. Saturday came. She spent all afternoon getting ready. I watched her from the hallway as she stood in front of the mirror fixing her hair and humming. She wore a navy blue dress, curled her hair the way she knew I liked, even wore that perfume I once told her reminded me of the ocean. "Do I look okay?" she asked, turning. "You look beautiful," I said, meaning it, and hating that I still meant it. She smiled like the queen of a kingdom built on lies. We pulled up to the restaurant. Her eyes lit up as she saw the soft lights through the window. Inside, everything was exactly as planned. Her friends were already seated 2 tables away, phones subtly positioned. Jason, I'd learned, would be arriving at the bar around 9 o'clock. He believed he'd witnessed the proposal from afar, just in time for Patricia to deliver the punchline and run to him like a rom-com climax. But this wasn't going to be her movie. Not this time. Dinner was quiet, comfortable, almost warm, which only made things harder. She talked about potential honeymoon spots. I nodded. She smiled when the dessert tray came. I smiled back, and then I stood up. She gasped. Gladys started recording. I didn't kneel. Instead, I raised my wine glass. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, loud enough for several tables to hear. Patricia's face lit up like Christmas morning. Her hand went to her mouth. "To Patricia," I began, "who has shared my life for 3 years." She blushed. "To Patricia, who's also been sharing her life with Jason from accounting for the last 8 months. Dead silence. Her smile froze. Gladys lowered her phone. Mary looked like she might throw up. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the ring box. Her eyes widened. I opened it slowly, revealing folded papers. Then I tapped the screen of my phone and Patricia's voice filled the quiet air. "I'm going to let him get down on one knee, then laugh in his face. Jason and I already booked Cabo the next day." Her hand flew to her mouth. "Not enjoy this time." She stood up so quickly she knocked over her wine glass. You set me up," she screeched, eyes wild. "No, Patricia," I said calmly. "You set yourself up. I just gave you the stage." I turned to her friends. "Did you know about this? Or were you just happy to help?" Mary burst into tears. Gladys opened her mouth, but no words came. I pulled up a screenshot on my phone. "Just so we're clear, you encouraged her to do this," I said, addressing Gladys directly. "It's all here." Jacob stood up at the bar, watching quietly. Patricia lunged forward like she might snatch the phone, but Jacob stepped between us. "Don't," he said gently. "Who the hell do you think you are?" she screamed. "You ruined everything, everything," I echoed. "Everything like Cabo, like Jason, who, by the way, is still married and just got served with divorce papers yesterday." Her mouth opened, then closed. The entire restaurant was dead silent. The manager came over, looking unsure of whether to break up a fight or ask if we needed the check. "I'll take the bill," I said. "She'll be leaving." Patricia was trembling now. You can't just—" "Yes," I said, interrupting. "I can." Part 4. Karma has a better memory than I do. Patricia didn't leave the restaurant right away. She stood there trembling, mascara running down her face, making small sputtering sounds like her mind couldn't keep up with the unraveling of her plan. Jason still hadn't arrived. Her grand betrayal had detonated early. Gladys slipped out with barely a word, clearly done with the chaos. Mary lingered long enough to mumble, "I didn't know. I swear she told me you were controlling." She held out her phone, open to a text thread. Patricia had been painting me as the villain for months, telling her friends I was obsessive, that I monitored her phone, that I'd threatened to harm myself if she ever left me. The gaslighting was Olympic level. "Thanks, Mary," I said. "That'll help. Really." She nodded and left, crying quietly into her clutch. I turned back to Patricia, who now sat hunched at our table like someone who'd just watched her house burn down. "You can pick up your stuff tomorrow," I said. "Your sister already agreed to come get it." She didn't respond. "Don't contact me again," I added. "That includes fake numbers, burner accounts, or sad emails about how you miss the cat. I already changed the passwords on everything." Still nothing. I left her there, alone, not dramatic, not cruel, just done. She called that night. 47 missed calls to be exact. The first 10 were voice messages screaming at me. The next 20 or so were crying. The last few were whispering apologies between sobs. I didn't answer. By morning I'd blocked her on everything. Her number, email, socials, gone. And then the real fallout began. Jacob called me a week later, barely holding back laughter. Dude, she flipped a desk in the office. Apparently someone, definitely not me, had emailed the recordings and screenshots to Jason was her supervisor. Their relationship violated the company's code of conduct. HR couldn't move fast enough. Jason got fired the next day. Patricia didn't take it well. She screamed in the break room, threw a stapler at someone, and had to be escorted out by security. According to Jacob, her final words were, "This is all Brent's fault. She wasn't wrong, but also she was. She did it to herself." Not long after, the screenshots somehow made their way into our shared friend group chat. Again, not saying I did it, but if someone saved the messages and decided the group deserved the truth, well, that's just transparency, right? The response was swift. People who had once adored Patricia started quietly distancing themselves. Some sent me private messages. "Dude, I had no idea. She always said you were emotionally unstable. She told us you followed her to work once and screamed at her in the parking lot." I believed her. "I'm so sorry. It wasn't fun being the object of pity, but it was better than being the villain in her twisted story. And in time I stopped being either." A month passed. Then one afternoon Patricia showed up at my job site. Yup, in broad daylight, in front of my entire crew. She stormed across the lot, screaming at the top of her lungs, "You ruined my life. You're a liar, a manipulator. You think this makes you a man?" The guys froze. One of them, Ricky, pulled out his phone. "You owe me 3 years of my life," she shrieked. 3 years. "You owe me a hoodie and $7,000 in restaurant bills," I said flatly. She threw her purse at me, missed. Security escorted her off the premises while the guys clapped. The video made its way to the local Facebook neighborhood group. Views climbed faster than I expected. But I wasn't done healing. I didn't want revenge forever. I wanted peace. So I took the money I'd saved for the engagement ring, the one she kept not so subtly hinting about, and booked a solo trip to a quiet little beach town. It wasn't Cabo, but it was mine. I posted a few pictures, nothing showy. Just sun, water, a cold drink, and peace. Patricia saw them. She sent a single message from a new account before I blocked it. "That should have been our trip." "No, Patricia. That should have been your punchline." Then something unexpected happened. Her parents reached out. They'd always liked me, and to be fair, I'd never blamed them for their daughter's choices. Still, hearing her mom cry on the phone while apologizing for how she turned out wasn't something I expected. "We're so ashamed," she said. "Everyone in our church group has seen the videos." I didn't rub it in. Just thanked them for calling and said I hoped she'd figure things out. Then came Ramona. I met her a couple of months later through a mutual friend. She was smart, funny, successful, and best of all, completely unaware of the circus I'd just walked out of. We started slow. She found out about Patricia after some mutual connections filled her in. Her response, she laughed, loud. "Seriously, she planned a fake proposal?" "Yep, and you just turned it on her, basically. You're not a man. You're a Bond villain with better emotional restraint." I couldn't help smiling. Ramona was no project, no redemption arc. She had her own life, her own apartment, her own favorite wine, and absolutely no time for people who play games. When Patricia eventually messaged Ramona from yet another fake account, Ramona sent back a clip of Patricia's restaurant meltdown, with a polite "please lose my number." Then she blocked her. Today things are quiet, no drama, no games, just work, occasional beach trips, and dinners with a woman who doesn't lie when she says she loves me. Sometimes I think back to that day in the cafe. If I'd walked over, confronted her in the moment, lost my temper, none of this would have unfolded the way it did. But staying calm, letting her dig her own grave, that was the best decision I ever made. Final thoughts. Patricia tried to humiliate me. She planned it with friends, smiled in my face, laughed behind my back. She thought I'd cry, beg, fall apart. Instead, I let her perform on the stage she built, and watched the curtains fall on her own downfall. She lost her job, her reputation, her friends, her fantasy life with Jason, who ran the moment the spotlight hit. Me, I'm doing just fine. Turns out the best revenge isn't anger. It's moving on while they collapse under the weight of their own lies. And if they still want to know how you're doing, let them look through the glass. Just don't open the door.